Hello everybody, J.Yumeko here, and today we're back with some more The House in Fata Morgana. So before we jump right on into this episode, I just want to let you guys know that I will be starting back up Clannad in just a little bit here. I don't know exactly when I'll get it out. Hopefully, let's see, I'll probably be uploading this video like the day after recording it. So hopefully, wait, what day is it? Hold up, let me check. It's Wednesday right now, so hopefully Friday, I think. I'm hoping that Friday I'll be able to get that video out, or at least record it on Friday. So yeah, it'll be exciting to get Clannad back in here because I like the game, and the only reason I put it down is because I had a bunch of other series going at the time. So we're still going to be scaled back to just kind of like, at that point, the two visual novels that we're doing, House in Fata Morgana and Clannad, and you know, on the off chance, throw in The Letter or Saint Maker or something like that in there. So, yeah, without further ado, though, let's jump right on back into the video. Whew, okay. So, yeah, we left off where we are now in, like, the Industrial Revolution, Victorian era, 1800s, 1900s, something like that. 1800, I think it was 1870 something. The white-haired girl is married to a sleazeball named, like, Vincenzo or Vinny or something like that. And he's kind of a fucking asshole. So, yeah, let's see. Who are we? Who are we? Let's see. We're gonna watch one of those others climb, but obviously I could not say as much to him. Okay, here we go. Sometime later, the carriage stopped in front of a shop. As I looked at the building perplexedly, he gestured at the door with his chin, signaling for me to get out. Lost and confused, I stepped down from the carriage, and before me spread a showcase behind a large glass window. However, lined up in the case were not precious metals or expensive clothing, but machines. At first, I had no idea what kind of devices they were. Jacopo, that's what his name was. Have you ever had your photo taken before? No, I have had a portrait painted, though. Are these machines for taking photographs? A portrait, eh? Why am I not surprised? I did not mean to boast. Go on, get in. Please, wait for me. The owner came out to greet us with a wide smile as we entered the shop.
Well, if this ain't the strangest thing I've seen all day. You bringing a young lady, and a real looker at that. Where on earth you catch this pretty little thing?
She's my wife.
Huh. Well, I beg your pardon. I'll be a monkey's uncle. Just goes to show, you never know where the cards may fall.
You make it sound like my getting married is some kind of miracle.
I always saw you as one to choose money over love, sir. Oh, pardon me. This isn't appropriate to say in front of your wife.
Do you often come to this shop? On occasion. I need some things done from time to time. I see. There you go, smirking again. What's so funny? We're going to have our photo taken, yes? I'm so nervous and excited. I've never had one before. And I have to take it side by side with you. What are you talking about? Pardon? Who said we were getting our pictures taken? And side by side? Please. You're sending shivers down my spine. But this is a photography shop. Hey, shopkeep. The product I contacted you about. Is it ready?
Yep. Sit tight, I'll bring it right out.
You take a seat. There's a chair over there. What? I'm going to show you something much more exciting than sitting still and waiting in front of a camera lens. Oh. Just do as I say. Okay. I sat down in front of a large mirror, which I presume is normally used to check your appearance before having your picture taken. Sitting before a mirror with someone else present was quite nerve-wracking. Out of embarrassment, I dropped my gaze to my knees. But when Jacopo returned, I was entranced by the curious object in his hands. The fucking fedora. What is this?
Do you know what persistence of vision is? The human eye does not perceive the world 100% accurately. This is especially true for objects in motion. It remembers images for a short time, so if you put a new image in the same place, your eye perceives its motion. Seeing for yourself will be faster than explaining it. You see the slits in the disc? Look through the bottom one and into the mirror.
Okay.
Good. Just like that. Bring your head in close. Here goes.
Standing behind me, he slid his finger across the top of the peculiar toy, causing it to spin gracefully. And then...
So, what do you see?
They're dancing. A man and woman are dancing.
Sounds like you're not having any trouble seeing it. Are they dancing well?
Yes they are. It's the most adorable thing.
Wah, adorable? That's funny. I used to have it modeled after a ballroom dance.
Yes, it's a very elegant dance. But you see, they're small, like little dwarves, which I thought was kind of cute. And they seem so close, going around and around without ever letting go of each other's hands. This is incredible. Why does it look like they're dancing? They were all lined up in a row a few moments ago.
Goodness, I just explained that to you. It's playing a trick on your eyes. What you're seeing is lots of different pictures in a short period of time. To put it in words you might understand better, it's an illusion. Your eyes are being fooled into thinking the image is moving.
An illusion? But they're dancing. They really are. And they look like they're having a wonderful time. Are you sure it's an illusion and not something else? To me, it does not seem to be. I cannot see it as anything but two tiny people dancing.
That's how it works. Reach out your hand and try to grab him. You won't be able to.
You're right. And that's a shame.
I didn't think you actually would.
But it's the most precious thing. They look as though they're dancing atop my palm. I was mesmerized by the strange phenomenon. Pictures were moving after all. Still images had become dancing before me. It was almost as if God had breathed life into them. He called it an illusion, but I could not grasp that. It was such an adorable, heartwarming sight. I imagined the two were living off in some other world, separate from their own. They looked so happy. I was almost certain that they were off dancing in their own joyous world, free from all the sorrow and loneliness and the pain of this one. Eventually, the speed at which they danced began to slow, as if they were resting their legs. I almost thought I could hear the sound of their feet with each step. They've stopped.
They can dance forever. They don't get tired.
I see. I'm amazed such an incredible device exists in this world. It makes me wish I had gone outside sooner.
I'm sure someone from as distinguished a family as yours has been plenty of amazing places with your family.
Hardly. I rarely ever left the house. I'm ignorant of the ways of the world. If you had not told me, I would probably have never known about moving pictures. The illusion of moving pictures.
Do you like it?
Yes, of course.
More than the portrait you had painted?
Yes. Yes, I do. The painting was wonderful too, but...
You can't seem to make up your mind. Go on, tell me what you like better. The portrait or this?
I like this better.
I see.
He looks somewhat pleased.
Though when it comes down to it, this is a simple trick only a child would fall for.
Then, I suppose that makes me a child. If it means I get to watch something as splendid as two tiny people dancing, I'll happily fall for the trick.
Quit describing it as two tiny people dancing. You're gonna lose your head that far up in the clouds.
Oh, I'm sorry. I don't know how else to describe it, though.
It's a toy called a Phenakistes. How do you fucking say this? Phenakistoscope? Phenakistoscope? I don't know. Whatever. Fuck me.
Phenakistoscope?
Phenakistoscope.
Phenakist wheel.
Close enough. It was invented around 30 years ago. I had the shopkeep make one model after the original design.
So the shop owner drew this?
He did. A lot better than you'd expect, isn't he?
Yes, indeed. I'm surprised you could draw something so cute.
Say that to his face and he'll go red as a beet. What I'd give to get a load of that. You should tell him the next time you see him.
He's a sweet man.
Despite how he looks, you mean?
It is not right to judge people based on their appearance.
I'm just kidding. Don't take it too seriously. The shopkeep here loves new technology. That Phenakistoscope is one invention that caught his eye. You can trick the eye into thinking drawings are moving. Using a sequence of photos, you can perhaps make it seem as though real people are moving too. And if it becomes possible to show these images to many people at once, these developments could broaden the options artists have to express themselves. Not
drawings, but photographs?
Yes, photos. By taking hundreds or perhaps thousands of photos, it would be possible to reproduce the world as we see it. This room, people walking down the street. There's no point in recording boring everyday life, though. If you're gonna leave a record of anything behind, it should be the projects and enterprises that move nations. Say, for example, a moving record of the opening ceremony of the railroad. That would be something worth watching. And then, in time, it would expand beyond a mere record-keeping technology and find its way into the hands of artists.
Is such a thing possible? You must remain still for a long time just to take a single photo.
Right now it isn't. But eventually, it will be. And I'm not simply fantasizing here.
Is that so? It sounds so very futuristic. Do you...
What?
Do you want to support the people who work on that sort of thing? Is that why you're friends with the owner?
It has nothing to do with my wants. I merely think there's money in it. The rich starve for entertainment, and artists create that entertainment. I have no interest in their pretentious self-expression. I just want their money. What? What's so funny?
You look like you're enjoying yourself.
Honestly, it's just about the money.
As you say.
Alright, let's get moving. Next is dinner.
What? We're leaving already.
Does that displease you?
No, not at all. To tell you the truth, I wanted to spend a little more time playing with the Phenakis wheel, but I could not bring myself to say as much. Reluctantly, I approached the owner to return the wheel.
Don't bother. Bring it with you.
What? But...
If you don't want it, that's fine too. Just make your decision quickly. You're making the driver wait.
Having said that, Jacopo exited the shop. I alternated between looking at his back and the Phenakis wheel, debating what I wanted to do. And then, with a smile, the owner whispered to me,
"You're allowed to keep it, really. Your husband out there made it as a gift for you."
For me?
A little while back he came to my shop asking if I could make a Phenakistoscope. Now that about knocked me out of my chair. He's a man who almost never asks for favors. He's pretty damn brusque, and he's got a tongue sharp enough to cut steel, but he's not wicked to his core. I swear it. So please, ma'am, be a pillar of support for him.
In that moment, the Finacus wheel became a precious treasure to me. We had only just married days earlier, and yet he had commissioned it for me without even knowing what I looked like. I was filled with a warm, pleasant elation. I agreed with the owner. Jacopo was not a bad man. He merely had difficulty expressing himself. Hurrying back to the carriage, I gave him my deepest thanks. He glanced over at me for a moment, then turned back toward the window and muttered, "Yeah." From there, we went to a restaurant for dinner. "You call this pizza? The crust is an atrocity. It's like I'm chewing on rubber." "How can you say my country's flag and not serve... How can you wave my country's flag and not serve spaghetti? Do you have no shame at all? This wine is pitifully unbalanced. Far too high levels of acidity. Listen to me carefully. The house wine is the face of a restaurant." He complained about every little thing. It was a complete disaster. But curiously enough, I was not at all put off by his behavior. When the sun set, the carriage made its way to a nearby hill. The cool nighttime breeze felt wonderful on my skin, flushed from the alcohol, and the light from the gas lamps had a comforting warmth to it. Though Jacopo had complained about the quality of the wine, once he had intoxicated himself, his mood improved visibly. It made him unexpectedly talkative.
Look out at the city. A gloomy town that shuts down at night isn't suited to expansion or growth, but this city isn't like that. You can see people walking beneath the lamps, and you can hear the bustle of them talking. This is a city that still has plenty of room to grow. As they ride the rising wave of the economy, many more people will gather here. More people means more money in circulation. More money in circulation means the city grows, companies are founded, and more goods are bought and sold.
Will it really change so drastically?
It can't be difficult to see what's happening from the inside. The majority of people just go about their daily lives, and the next thing they know, things are different. No, I'd wager most don't notice the changes at all. Only those with eyes sharp enough to realize what's happening can see success. I cannot afford to overlook even the most minute change.
Do you have a dream of some kind?
A dream? I'm not sure if it's easy enough to attain to call a dream. Others might call it greed, or perhaps ambition. Don't laugh now. My intention is to make the world mine.
The world?
Yes, the world. To do that, you need neither physical strength or kindness, but money and influence. People have no choice but to kneel before those forces.
Why are you so intent on obtaining power?
Because I want to change my country, I imagine.
Your country?
You're all aware that I, like you, am an immigrant, right? I immigrated from an island in the Mediterranean, though not the same island as you. My country is a peculiar place, where candor and violence go hand in hand. As a whole, the country's on the poor side, and if nobody does anything about that, I am one of but a few of my fellow countrymen who has set his sights on the New World. They're falling far behind other nations. If I find success here, perhaps I will catch their attention. But if it doesn't, then my country's doomed to collapse.
You have much love for your homeland.
My feelings are a little more complicated than mere love. But that's nothing you need to concern yourself with. Well, I'll have to remember not to get myself too drunk around a woman again. Forget everything I just said. It's about time we head back to the house. Ugh.
Alright, but,
What is it?
Is it alright if I provide you encouragement as you try to attain your dream? I know my presence is more likely to be a hindrance, but I would like to be there to watch as you trek forward.
I suppose, do as you wish.
Thank you. You have my support then. Darling? Sent a shiver down my spine, though not an unpleasant one. I'm glad to have you as my partner. I was, without a doubt, happy then. His smile, the things he said, the fanatics really gave me, they were all undeniably real. And those memories give me the will to wait, for the day things go back to the way they were. They allow me to believe. Talk about a toxic relationship. Let's see. This is something that actually happened to another maid. She heard a sound in the middle of the night. A sound like dripping water. At first she thought it was raining, so she looked through the window, and there wasn't a cloud in the sky to cover the stars. Maybe it's a faucet, she thought. So she stepped out of her room and into the corridor. Compared to her room, it was unearthly chilly. The maid regretted not bringing something to cover herself with. But that didn't make any sense. Normally the temperature wasn't that much colder than outside her room. Her night clothes had always been more than enough for a trip to the lavatory. Wondering what the reason could be, she made her way toward the sound, but then she realized something. There were no faucets in the direction she was going. Rather, she was headed towards a hall. The mansion where she served had many halls, but this one was off in a far corner of the house, the least used hall of them all. It had a high roof, but not a lot of space, so it was difficult to make good use of it. It also had a somewhat heavy air to it, a very curious room. It was the kind of place you might assign someone to clean as part of their hazing. Anyway, when the maid realized the sound was coming from that peculiar hall, she, as you might expect, let out an uncomfortable sigh. But there might be a leak, and having noticed, she couldn't simply ignore it, you know? So, as much as he hesitated, she pushed open the doors to the hall. There was nobody there, and it didn't look like anything was leaking either. There were no puddles or water stains anywhere to be found, but she could still hear the sound. Drip, drip, getting louder and louder. Slowly stepping further into the room, looking left, then right, then left again, she searched the hall for the source of the sound, coming to a stop in the center of the hall. She stood there still, quiet, and then a chilly spot on the nape of her neck. With a little yelp, she reached back to feel her neck, but it wasn't wet. Confused, she slowly, warily tilted her head backward. And there hung a bloody skeleton from the ceiling.
God!
That's rich! Amazing! Oh my god, you scream like a little girl! Did I give her a British accent? I don't know.
But Maria, you little...
My god, are you men or children? This is my house, and I'd rather you didn't talk about it like that. Whose words were those again?
Shut your mouth! How do you even know about that? Were you eavesdropping?
And another thing, I do not care for that sort of stupid fantastical tales you women so love to pass around. Because they scare you? You've never been able to handle anything scary, Jacopo.
Ugh.
Whoa, don't glare at me like that. You're gonna destroy my sides. So, did you come here for the sole purpose of telling me that cheap triple? That cheap tripe? Acting tough after the fact that you just made... Acting tough after the fact just makes you look that twice as much of a wuss. Well, I mean, I did make up a good half of it, but the maid really did hear a sound in the middle of the night. And it came from the back hall of this very mansion. Did you know that they say it used to be a chapel? Again, I have no interest in you women's little ghost stories. Is that so? You sure you're not just scared?
Maria!
Well, that said, the rumors aren't completely unfounded. This is a pretty old mansion, and it's had a lot of work done on it. It kind of feels like it's barely holding itself together. Like a big old quilt with pieces from all different time periods. The back hall is one of the oldest patches. There's a huge window on the far end, and supposedly there used to be stained glass in it. It was a depiction of an archangel, they say. Such a shame. I wonder when it's broken.
Wasn't it broken in the last story? I want to say it was.
If it was still there, I bet it'd be worth a fortune.
I find that hard to believe. First of all, why would anyone put a chapel inside of a mansion?
You've got a point, I guess.
Now, how about you do some actual work instead of distracting yourself with all this nonsense?
I do work. But, the other maid's gonna be a bit nasty, you know? Dealing with other women is like walking on glass.
Am I to blame for that?
What if I said you were? Don't give me that look. They're just not fond of me, simple as that. Nothing you can do about it.
Is that so?
Oh yeah, I was talking to the madam, and she was telling me you used to be quite the gentleman. Were you perhaps actually in love back then? You sure don't act like it, so it's easy to miss, but I guess you're not entirely made out of steel. Just like when you were younger, you're still...
Do not speak of that. The past is not worth remembering. It's unnecessary.
So to you, the past exists just to be cast aside? Nah, it's not important. You don't want me to talk about it, so I won't talk about it. But your wife... Never mind. I'll leave you be. I have to get back to work soon, or I'll be staring down the head maid's Arctic smile.
Alright.
If the fancy strikes me, I'll drop by and we can trade more ghost stories.
Maria.
What? No ghost stories?
No, not that. I've not forgotten those days. But... No, it's...
I'll be off then.
Alright. If the fancy strikes you, drop by and we can trade something other than ghost stories.
What'd I tell ya? I'll consider it. Goodbye.
God damn it. I can't escape anything. Huh, so I guess they were childhood friends.
They've grown to be so beautiful.
I think I did give her a British accent in the last episode, so I think I'll stick with, I guess, an American one. Though it does seem like they're both from Italy, potentially.
Such a wonderful fragrance. The scent of roses is so calming. I wonder why that is. Would it cause any trouble if I picked one?
Oh, here she is.
Well, hello there. And for a midnight stroll, are you? Quite a peculiar hobby, madam. I cannot spend as much time as I would like outside during the day, so I end up coming out at night. I apologize if I startled you. No, not at all. There is a chilling, captivating beauty to the sight of your snow-white form standing there in the moonlit garden. I would hardly... what are you doing out so late? I saw a figure through the window. On the slight chance it might be a burglar, I thought it my responsibility to ensure they did not break in. It was also the middle of the night when the grocer's servant broke into their safe. News of that spread quite far. I'm sure you would have heard about it. Oh, but Jemash was imprisoned some time ago. Dear me, I cannot seem to get my head out of the past. Do you intend to give that white rose to someone? Yes. I was thinking about giving it to my husband. While I expect he has little fondness for such feminine tastes, the scent of flowers has a truly calming effect. He might find it relaxing when he needs to reprieve from his work. Oh, is that so? You're very kind-hearted. Speaking of white roses, the rose he meant to give you was the same shade of white. Oh, he. But when you touched it, it turned a deep shade of red.
Huh.
There was but a single white rose in the garden, so he was unable to give it to you as he wished. In its place, he had a decorative rose fashioned for you. What exactly are you referring to? Oh dear, do you not remember? Then I am to assume you have forgotten what happened to the rose accessory as well. He was unable to give that to you earlier. He was unable to give that to you either. But that time, because you rejected the gift. I'm not criticizing you for that decision, of course. You had a perfectly good reason for not accepting it. Heartbroken from having lost you, he buried the rose in his garden. Over the years, the roses in the garden withered away, and in their place grew a thick, unsightly nest of weeds. Many, many years later, that accessory is dug up by a beast. And curiously enough, it had not a speck of rust on it. A beast? Okay, so I'm guessing that she was originally talking about the flaxen-haired boy. And now she's talking about the beast. Do you not remember him either? The foreign man who, through his interaction with you, almost regained his humanity. I'm sorry. I have no idea what you speak of. The only gift I have ever received from a man is my Phenacus wheel. And furthermore, I have only lived in this mansion for a year. While the garden was not as thriving as it is now, it was certainly not in ruins when I arrived. Because I had been taking care of it, yes. But, for whatever reason, by my hands alone I was unable to make it into anything quite as splendid as it is now. Once you arrived and began to work on it, however, and just look around, you've restored it to its former glory, to the magnificence of the flaxen-haired family's time. I promise I am not trying to fault you for anything. Now that I think about it, it makes sense you would not remember. Though you are still you are different than before. Different, though not in the sense that you are a wholly distinct person. Tell me, is your name... again? My name is... Yes, but you should already know that. Again? More proof that you are indeed you. Did you know that your current name is pronounced the same as the name of the person you're waiting for? What are you talking about? I've met you many times, and I know of your past, of events that transpired long, long ago. I'm telling you the truth. I first came to this mansion just a year ago. Until then, I had never left my country, or even set foot outside my own house. We did not have any servants either. So where, then, are you saying we met? This mansion, of course. But I'm telling the truth. It was a year ago, shortly after my parents fell ill and received an offer for my marriage. I knew something had to be done. I knew it, and I'm telling the truth. If that is what you remember, then I do not doubt you. But I also suspect I know why you seem so flustered. Are there moments when your memories seem hazy? When it seems like important details have fallen through the cracks? You needn't fret. One day, eventually, you shall remember it all. One day. She's so fucking ominous, man. What the hell is this? A white rose? Did she leave this here? A flower? What does she think she's doing? Is she trying to aggravate me? That garden. That damn rose garden is the whole problem. Flowers have no purpose but to deceive. That garden is a sign of weakness. There's no place in this house. He's gonna destroy the garden. Approximately a week had passed since then. The white-haired girl was, as usual, spending her time in her room reading, staying inside the house. Then Maria barged in. Madam! Madam! Oh my... Oh, fuck. Oh my, you're out of breath. What happened? What happened is that we have a big problem. The garden, the rose garden. The garden? All the roses you put so much love and care into growing are being chopped down. We'll lose them all if we don't hurry. Upon hearing the news, the white-haired girl dashed from her room and toward the garden, with Maria following close behind. When she arrived, she saw a dozen or so sweaty, rugged men at work, Jacopo shouting orders. The men clearly had no concept of how much a single flower was worth, no concern whatsoever for their beauty. For they mercilessly, thoughtlessly hacked away at the shrubs like they were naught but weeds. Each flower they tore from the earth extinguished another of the many lives the white-haired girl had put so much time and effort into tending for. Jacopo, what are you... Oh, hello, Maria. I didn't expect you to come with her. Why would you... Why? Why, it goes without saying. This house has no need of a garden. Damn flowers have no place here. Might as well do something worthwhile with the soil. A miniature railroad would be a better use of space. Certainly a great deal easier on the eyes. I can even get my hands on some genuine wheels. The same wheels being used on the revolutionary transcontinental railroad. 10 and 20 years down the line, they'll be worth a fortune. Jacopo! You know how much this garden means to me, don't you? That it honestly have no place here. Flowers have a calming effect on people. They give you peace. They're not by any means worthless. So you're saying that white rose is your passive-aggressive way of telling me to calm down? Not at all. I simply thought you... At the end of the day, you're just using them for your own purpose. To trick and deceive. To you, this whole garden was nothing but... Jacopo! You've gone way too far. This isn't right. Gone too far? This is my mansion. What I do with my property is my business. With that rose arc out of the picture, we'll have a much better view. There won't be anything blocking the sun any longer. Weren't you supposed to be sensitive to sunlight? You spend too much time out here and you're liable to fall ill. Get back inside now. You too, Maria. The poor thing, though she did not say a word. The poor thing, though she did not say a word, was surely thinking, are you truly that determined to rob me of my sanctuary? The thoughts twirled around in her head, unable to make the final journey to her lips. She stood there, looking down at her own feet as her husband marched off, and listened to the screams of the roses being reaped. After being torn down by Jacopo, the garden reverted to a state of ruined desolation. A shame, after all the work that went into restoring it to the beauty it had under the flaxen-haired family. And as Jacopo has said, in its place went scraps of metal, train wheels, prototype models, carbon rods. These items may have had value for him, but I certainly do not think it was worth robbing his wife of a place that made her feel comfortable just so he could store them there. Besides, I was rather fond of the rose garden myself. The roses seemed to evoke a sense of nostalgia in me. I felt as though, somewhere far beyond the edge of my memories, I'd seen another garden of roses, modest though it may have been. But I cannot remember when it was. Did that come as a surprise to you? I'm quite sure there are periods in the mansion's history of which I am not aware. But in any case, Jacopo had caused many people great pain in order to repurpose the garden for himself, and he continued to walk all over his wife. Whenever she tried to do something kind for him, he'd brush her off, saying, "That's not your place." He paid no mind whatsoever to the looks of dejection that rose to her face each time he rejected her. I was beginning to wonder if anything she'd said about the man he had been a year earlier was actually true. And if it was true, could a person really go through such a drastic change of heart in such a short time? What do you think, Master? No, I've spoken enough about me already. I seem to be talking a lot about myself this time. but that is hardly appropriate behavior for a maid. Now, let us return to our tale. Alright, I think we'll go ahead and stop it right there. Just go ahead and save. Excuse me. And go back to the entrance. Alright, so I'm a little bit of a shorter episode this time. But I will say this. It's kind of interesting because we are really going through the ages here, right? And it seems as though we're starting to get like more and more backstory on, well, not backstory, but I'm talking the slightest bit more insight on the black-haired maid and the white-haired girl in terms of their relationship to the house. So it is very peculiar. And it seems as though, for one, I want to say that the whole Panakis wheel was definitely a kind of symbolic representation of the white-haired girl in her marriage, right? Because she had just gotten finished saying, oh yeah, but, you know, this one memory I have, I hold out hope that he'll change. And so it's kind of like, well, that is the illusion, isn't it? It's this illusion of, oh, he'll get better. He was kind then, and so he'll be kind sometime down the line. But that's not exactly the case, right? It's just kind of this facade, I guess. But yeah, and it's also interesting, the white-haired girl's relationship with, or at least connection with, the Rose Garden, because the Rose Garden has always been fairly prominent throughout the story. You know, obviously with the Flaxen-haired family, that was kind of like the main thing, right? Oh, you have this beautiful mansion, and it's known as the Rose Manor because of these, you know, this gorgeous rose garden that they have in it. In the Beast story, it was completely dejected. It was this haunting looking mansion with overgrown shrubbery all around it, and the rose garden was, you know, destroyed. And now the rose garden has been restored, but it's just been, you know, wiped out again. So very interesting. Very interesting. I wonder if maybe through this story or through future stories we'll maybe get a little bit more of I guess a clearer picture as to if there is an actual connection. Maybe we'll start noticing more patterns. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. The fucking Jacopo is like such an asshole, and you can see that the story is trying to like be like, oh yeah, but he was this good guy who's, you know, he has this troubled past and yada yada. You can tell that that's kind of the direction they're going, right? Because he's like, oh, I can't escape my past. So that'll be interesting finding out what exactly that past is. At this point, my expectations have been raised a lot, especially with that last story in terms of the twists and turns that I'm kind of expecting at this point to happen in the story. So we'll just have to see in the next one. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, make sure to leave a like on the video and tell me in the comment section what you'd like to see me play next. If you enjoyed this video or any other videos or series on my channel, then I highly recommend that you hit the subscribe button and turn on post notifications so you'll be notified when a new one of those videos comes out. Anyways, that's it for me, and I'll see you in the next one.